So here we are for the start of round 7 of the Core Racing GT3 League. This week we are at Mugello. As you see, drivers have gone round on their outlap and are currently going for their flying laps. Luca currently leading this train of drivers behind him. Should be pretty close this week. Unfortunately we missed last week at Imola due to some technical difficulties. However, we are live this week around the beautiful Italian circuit, as that looked like a driver, Thomas Blackett I believe that was, had a bit of a moment through the chicane. As we ride on board with Luca, he will be the first one to set a flying lap, getting it nicely through the chicane. He comes down into the final turn. Gets it nice and clean. What lap time will he set? A 1:48.851, and Eric goes slightly faster, so he is currently your provisional pole. And it looks like Jeffrey's just gone out and a lot of drivers setting PBs. Michael Curve's currently your pole with a 1:47.3. See all the drivers coming through the line. So it looks like Ross now takes pole position with a 1:47.275 in his McLaren 650S. Martin Palm into P5. Itamar Yativ, he's currently driving the 650S this week. He was in the Audi R8, however he's opted to join the McLaren squad and is now in the 650S. He's on the back of a Porsche. There's Luca, seems to be in a different car this week, may have sustained from damage, or some damage, sorry, from Red Bull Ring. So he seems to be in a backup car this week. We'll have to see whether that affects his performance. Ross coming through one of the chicanes, and that's a very sideways moment for a Z4. I'm unsure who that was, but that was very sideways. So we come back with Ross getting it through the long right-hander into the chicane. Gets it nicely through there, clipping the curbs. Ran the final turn. Will he be able to improve? Gets a nice run out in the slipstream of Itamar up in front. Yes, he is able to improve with a 1:46.7, a very quick lap time by him. It's Nickel Foggy in the pit lane. A lot of drivers coming out. Luca, I believe that's Eric now coming in out of the pits as well. So 3 drivers opting to go out for another set of flying laps, as it looked like Nickel managed to jump Eric through the pits. I'm unsure how he managed that. Michael Curve's on an outlap coming through the final turn. We will hop on board for a lap around Mugello. As he comes down this very, very long straight. Currently sitting in P3, using all that entrance curb. Gets it nicely turned in and hooked up onto the pad, very sideways on the exit. He's definitely lost a bit of time. Using all the track again, right on the white line, using all the exit. Down into this second left-right section. Gets it nicely through the second section. Down into the right-hand, a very fast corner. Little air shake on turning. Really using a lot of the grass on the inside there. shifts it down into third and even into second, and backs out of the lap. As you see Ross coming through the final turn. Will he be able to improve his lap time yet again? He's really using all the track here, trying to edge out every hundredths he can, and unfortunately he does not go faster. You see, coming down the 1.1 kilometer straight, very long straight, one of the longest in the season. Little out of shake on the exit, however keeps it nice and controlled. Nicely through the first part of sector 1. Gets it down into turn 4 and 5. So that's a BMW going very slow, Ross having to dive up the inside. That has caused his lap, caused him to slow down for the rest of this lap. And you see Jeffrey just 8 thousandths of a second behind Michael. Will he be able to improve? He does. He goes with a 147 flat. That puts him up into second place. Great lap by him. Nickel Foggy into the very fast right left before the run up the hill. Gets it nicely through there, using all the exit. You can just see how far he is stretching out the course. So that's a Porsche letting Nickel past as he comes down into the chicane. Luca just up in front. Nickel, you can see, really pushing that McLaren as he comes into turn 12. Gets nicely through there into the chicane of turn 13. Nicely through there into the final turn. Riding the brakes, a little out of shape mid corner. Will that prevent him from gaining any positions for the start of the race, as we just tick past 5 minutes left in the session? He is able to improve. He goes with a 146.992. So it was currently the two NLR drivers making up the front row of the grid, being followed by Jeffrey and Payo in P4. So that's 4 drivers in McLarens in the top 4. Michael Curves in the Ferrari in P5. Matteo in the Lamborghini. He's had quite a few good races this season, sitting in P6. 2 Thomases. Thomas Pavesk, I believe he is a new driver to the season, and Thomas Erzin, opting to go for the Z4 this week. He was in the AMG before, however he's in the Z4 today. We'll have to see whether he's able to do any better in the Z4 than he was in the AMG. Martin Parr down in P10. He's had quite a good season so far. Itamar Yativ in the 650S in P11. Darren Adams a lot lower down on the grid than he has been in previous races. He is down in P12. Irwin in the P13. Jeffrey in P14, Luca down in 15. So clearly his new car isn't feeling quite how he likes compared to his older car. Thomas Blackett in P16, he's quite far down the grid compared to previous races. Eric Rotterdink in the Nissan in P17. Costi P18, Hines in the Lamborghini in P19, Paul McLeod in P20. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but he is down in P21. Simon in P23. So that rounds up your grid so far with 2 minutes 45 left of the session, so we'll be looking at another couple of laps. So we hop on board with Nickel sitting in P2, coming out of the final turn. Gets it nicely through there, looking for the run down this very long straight. as he comes up the hill towards the curb, braking at the 100-metre board down into third gear, getting it nicely turned in late to get as good exit as he can, which he has done, down into third into this left-hander, sticking to the left to get it flicked in for this right, nicely across the inside curb and the exit curb, up into fourth, up into fifth, down a couple of gears to get it flicked in, very sideways on entry, managing to hold it. Short shifts up into fourth, slight dip of the wheels onto the grass. Again, very sideways into that right-hander. He seems to have a very loose rear end. However, he does look very comfortable in the car. Gets it nicely up the run, up the hill, deciding to stick in fourth gear. Little bit of understeer there you could see as he crests the hill. Down into another chicane, a very chicane-based circuit this. Getting nicely flicked into left, using all the curb on the exit. Nicely into turn 12, slightly out of shake mid-corner, however manages to hold it as he comes into the chicane of 13 and 14. Nicely and clean through there. He's hard on the brakes into the final corner, little shake, however manages to hold it. Will he be able to improve and beat his teammate Nickel Foggy in the lead? He does improve, however isn't fast enough to gain any positions, as that looked like they are abandoning their laps. So that's the end of their qualifying session. Ross currently in the lead. He'll be looking to gain a bit of a gap to enable no one to take his pole position away from him. Coming nicely into the second part of the chicane. Oh, sorry, this second chicane. That's Michael Curves behind him. He's going to be one of the final drivers to get a lap in, as we have just ticked over and the checkered flag is out, as it looks like Peo will be finishing in P5 unless anyone can improve. And that's a big shake from the rear of that NLR 650S. With Michael Curves. Sorry, Michael Curvers. That looked like Hines in the background. It sounded like a Lamborghini. You see both drivers getting it nicely through. Nickel ending up in P2 with a 146.5. Will either Ross or Michael be able to improve? Michael, you can just see running on the track. Ross backing out, and so does Michael. So both drivers are not opting to finish their lap. As Hines comes across the line on an out lap, so he is going to finish in P19. As you see, Marcy coming through the chicane. A top 5 now for the 650S's. It's 5 different drivers all driving the McLaren, so this seems to be a very McLaren based circuit. Comes through the final turn. Will he be able to improve? He does. He goes pole position with a 146.6. Very good lap from him. Peo rounding the turn 12. Nice out there, gets it lined up for turn 13 and 14. He will be one of the final drivers to complete a lap. He will have to look to gain about 2/10 if he's able to improve. Oh, bless me. Which he is unable to improve. So we are going to cut to a quick advert break. And this is a very special advert this week, as it's an unreleased advert at the moment. So we'll have to see what it's all about. So as you saw there, an amazing trailer for the Lux Liveries Company. As the lights are coming on now, we have 5 red lights, and they are out as all drivers getting off to a nice and clean start. As I say, they all compiling down into turn 1. A couple of drivers, a couple of Z4s looking for a position, however they look like they are all coming through cleanly as they come down into the braking zone of turn 1. Getting it nicely through there. Doesn't look like there's many collisions. A couple of drivers going 3 wide. Quite a few drivers going side by side as they come on down into turn 2. Getting it nice and clean through there. It still looks like a McLaren top 5. As you see, Marcy is still your leader. So we come on back to Thomas. As that's a driver off, that's Itamar Yativ. Unfortunately, slightly coming into contact with the grass, and that's caused him to spin and be punted down, way down the order towards P17. So here with the battle for P8. Thomas Erzen driving the Z4. As you see, they all compiling through the chicane. Looked like Martin Palm was looking for a move, however wasn't close enough to stick his nose up the inside. Thomas right on the back of Matteo. Getting it nicely through that chicane. 32 laps this race. Tyre temperature is playing a really big factor on that front left tyre. You see all the drivers coming through the final corner. As it looks like Marcy is still your race leader, being followed by the two Northern Lights Racing drivers of Ross and Nickel. Jeffrey in P4 with Peo in P5. Michael Curves in P6. Thomas making a great start. He's up into P7. Matteo in P8 in the Lamborghini. Thomas Erzin opting for the Z4. That seems to have paid off for him. He's up into P9. Martin Palm making up your top 10. As we come to the battle between Thomas Erzin and Matteo. Thomas right on the back of that black Lamborghini. Getting it nicely through the right-hander at the top of the hill. As it looks like he made a slight mistake. Martin Palm looking for a way round the outside into the chicane. They are side by side. Thomas managing to stick his nose out in front. Darren Adams not that far behind. He's now looking for a move on Martin. He's opting for the outside. Will Martin look for the inside of Thomas? No, he doesn't. They all slot in one by one in a line. Darren Adams, you can see 4-5 Z4s all chasing each other down. Thomas Blackett on the back of Hines as well, as we are sticking with this battle between the 5 Z4s and Matteo driving the black Lamborghini up in front. As they come on to their third lap, Nickel really closing the gap to his teammate. Still opting to sit behind. Those two will look to push together to try and overtake the race leader. Thomas in P7 on the back of Michael Curvers. He's looking very comfortable in that 650S. The drivers have started spacing out a bit now. Martin Palm P10 in the middle of this battle. As you see, as that's Michael Curvers has spun out. That is unfortunate for him. He was backwards down that turn. That could have been very dangerous. Drivers managing to stay out of his way, managing to avoid his collision. However, that means Luca is up into P12 now. He has been having a very good race so far. So he may have found the rhythm in his car now. Oh, and that's Michael Curvers getting sideways again on the exit. He is having very big troubles with that car. You see Luca on the back of Erwin, who's racing in a new livery, and being followed by and up in front of him is his teammate Darren Adams. Erwin may look for a move. All three drivers separated by just a few tenths. So we'll come down the straight. The 3, 4, 5 Z4s all in a line. Three of them have a very similar bag. The two up in front opting for the standard Kunos liveries, I believe. These three liveries have been done by Lux Liveries. You can check them out on their Facebook or by dropping them an email. As you see, Erwin on the back of Darren Adams. As that's Marek unfortunately retiring from the race. That is unfortunate for him. As we come to Eric on the back of Thomas Blackett and is being chased by Simon as well. These three drivers being held up by Hines up in front, about a 2-second gap to Michael Curves, who unfortunately had a couple of mistakes on the last lap, which has caused him to be punted down the order. Thomas Blackett on the back of Hines, who races for the Apex Predator Racing team, isn't able to get past. Luca sorry, Darren Adams on the back of Irwin, so Irwin was able to get past Darren. So they come on down into the final turn. Marcy still your race leader, 0.6 seconds separating him and Ross now, so the gap has increased, which has allowed him a bit of breathing space. He was about a tenth faster that last lap, so he is gaining a bit of a lead to the two drivers, to the two Scottish drivers behind. As you see, Owen going defensive, and that's Michael Curvers going around the outside of Jeffrey as well. They are still side by side, and Michael managing to make the move up the inside for turn 2, so he is up into P13 now, and he will look to chase down Luca up in front. Darren Adams still on the back of Irwin, 0.3 seconds separating them as they come on down into this long right-hander, down into the flick left before the run up the hill. Gets it nicely turned in. Not using as much curb as you saw Nickel taking in qualifying. As you see, just that little bit of difference can make a huge difference in terms of qualifying pace. As you see, Michael has already caught up to the back of Luca. Michael having to drive quite aggressively to get back up to his position he was in originally. Really pushing the car. You'll see, you'll have to see where tyre wear comes into play. As we said before, very difficult track in terms of tyre wear, very high amounts of tyre wear and very high temperatures, which can cause a lot of different strategies to have to be used in the race. Michael still not being able to make a move past Luca in his Z4, not opting to dive into turn 1. 0.3 seconds separating the two as they come on into turn 2. Getting it nicely through there. He is right on the back of that purple and white Z4. He's really close to the gap, looks for a move up the inside, however backs out. Still very close between these two drivers. Michael still not being able to get past. He will look for a move soon, as this will prevent him from moving up anymore as he looks for a move up the inside. They are side by side. Luca given plenty of space, however he will have the inside for the second part. They are still side by side as they come down into turn 13. He is past. Very good move around the outside by Michael. He will look to chase down the 4 Z4s even up in front, as it looks like Darren has got up to the back of these three drivers, and Owen has got up to the back of Martin. Getting it nicely through there, through the final turn as they come running down the 1 kilometre straight. Slipstream are going to play a big factor in this. You can just see it's almost like they've been cloned. Martin going defensive. Owen was looking for a move up the inside, however Martin had it covered. Martin looking for a move up the inside of Thomas, not being able to make it done, as Owen now looks for a move around the outside, up the inside for that left-hander. He would have been stuck on the outside, however he backs off as he was looking for a move up the inside through this left-hander. Not being able to get past, 0.3 seconds separating him and Martin Palm up in front. Very close racing between these 4 drivers. see using all the exit, trying to gain as much time as he can on the driver up in front. As I believe that's Michael Curves in the wall again, and he spun it again on the grass. He is not having a very good race. That is unfortunate for him. He is down into P19 now. As we come with Irwin, Darren Adams closely behind. As it looks like Thomas has been able to gain a bit of a gap to Martin Palm behind now. Number is still very close between these three BMWs, as that's a twitch from I believe that was Irwin, and that has allowed Darren Adams to come up the inside. He is past, however Irwin will be right on the back of that Z4. Darren Adams deciding to stick on the inside. He's going to go defensive into turn 1. Darren Adams successfully making the move done, so he is up into the top 10 now. As you see, Matteo is caught up to the back of Payo. Matteo driving a very good race so far. He's up into P7 in his Lamborghini. One of the only Lamborghinis left in the season, as Jens Roos is not here this week. So we'll have to see where that plays in the championship. It looked like Thomas Erzen slightly came across the curb. However, has managed to gain time on Matteo through this sector. He is now only 0.3 seconds behind the black Lamborghini. Thomas sitting on the back of the Lamborghini. See these three Z4s still chasing each other. As it looks like Jeffrey is caught up to the back of Luca as well. Luca looking to stay out in front. As that's Thomas Blackett unfortunately retiring from the race. That is unfortunate for him. He has been having a good season so far. May have been struck by a bit of bad luck. As that's Jeffrey looking for a move up the inside, nearly colliding with the back of that Z4. Managing to just miss it by barely a millimetre. As they now come down this really long straight. As you see, they come on down into turn 1. Jeffrey not being able to get past Luca. So Luca is still sitting in P12. Marcy still your race leader, still being chased down by the two NLR drivers. However, they have gained about a 2-second gap to Jeffrey in 4th and another 5 seconds to Thomas in P5. He is being caught up by Payo, however. Payo in the McLaren, he's been having quite a good season so far. As they come up the hill, they get down into the chicane. Payo still not being close enough. As Michael Curves is down in P21. He is on the back of Jack. Jack, a newcomer to the season in the Porsche 911. Michael is going to have to drive a crazy race if he wants to score some points. Itamar Yativ down in P17. He was quite high up towards P11, so I'm unsure what has happened to him. So he may have regretted deciding to take the McLaren compared to the Audi he is usually in. We'll have to see where he ends up as the drivers start their 10th lap. Marcy is still your race leader, being followed by Ross and Nickel in the podium positions. Jeffrey in P4, not that far behind, being chased down by Thomas, Payo, Matteo and Thomas Erzen in P5, 6, 7 and 8 respectively. Martin Palm in P9, Darren Adams in P10, Irwin in P11. Luca in P12. Eric Rotterding in P13 in GTR. Looks like he's sustained a bit of right side damage. So we'll have to see whether that plays a factor in his race. Simon up in P14. He's having a very good race so far. Being followed by Hines and closely followed by Itamar. Jeffrey in P17. Costi in P18, sorry. Paul McLeod in P19. Michael up into P20 now. There's a slight dip of the wheels by Martin. Thomas right on the back of that Lamborghini again. He looks for a move round the outside. Matteo going defensive. It looks like Matteo is able to hold on to the position. However, Thomas looks like he has to run through the chicane. Will he look for a dive into the final turn? No, he slots on in behind us. It looks like both drivers run slightly wide. Both drivers looking to get the run out. The Lamborghini going to be much faster in a straight line. You can just see the speed difference between the two. Even in the slipstream, Matteo was still able to pull away. So Thomas will have to look for a move before this long straight here at Mugello. Getting it nicely through turn 1. Thomas now dropped off to about 0.4 seconds behind Matteo in P7. Matteo catching up to the back of Peo as well, 0.8 seconds separating the two. As we come to Ross in second, he has closed up the gap quite considerably to Marcy up in front. You can just see how hard he is pushing, as it looks like he has really closed up the gap through the chicane. Marcy may have made a mistake, however he is able to get the run out, so he stays out comfortably in front. Itamar Yativ back on the back of Hines. 0.1 seconds separating the two as they come through the right-hander. Will he look for a dive up the inside into the chicane? No, he slots in behind as we come to Thomas Erzin and Matteo. Thomas going to be stuck on the outside. He backs out through the chicane. Wise idea. However, will he look for a dive in the inside through the final turn? Matteo goes defensive. Matteo should be able to hold on to the place, just purely down to the amount of speed of the Lamborghini in a straight line. You can just see how much faster he is in a straight line. As we come back to the battle between Itamar and Hines. Itamar, will he be able to get past the power of the Lamborghini? No, the Lamborghini out-drags him in a straight line. So we come back to the battle for P7 between Matteo and Erzin. Thomas in the Z4. Getting nicely through the left-right section down into the right-left section before the run up the hill. He is able to close down the gap to about 0.2 seconds now as they come up the hill. Will he look for a dive up the inside into the chicane? He has a look, decides to slot in behind. So it looked like a driver dipped a couple of wheels through the chicane. Darren Adams and Martin Palmer's just behind them as well. Darren Adams just on the back of Martin. As you see, Ross is able to close the gap in the final corner to about 0.4 seconds. He is within the slipstream distance. Will he look for a move into turn 1? 0.3 seconds separating the 2.2 now as they come down into the braking zone for turn 1. No, Ross isn't able to get past. Nickel has dropped off a bit from these two. 2 seconds behind now. And another 4 seconds back to Jeffrey in P4. As that's another retirement, unfortunately for Simon. That means we are down to 21 drivers. Eric Rotterdink looking for a move up the inside of Luca. Luca managing to hold on to the place. As that's Itamar into the pits. Looks like he sustained some front damage. And that's Hines into the pit as well. So both of those drivers may have got caught in a collision as they were battling before. Ross dipping a couple of wheels over the grass. Again, dipping a couple of wheels over the grass into the chicane. He is really pushing that McLaren. As you see, a real mix of strategy here. The top 6 opting for medium tyres. Matteo opting for the softs, Thomas on the mediums, and then all softs down into P13 with Jeffrey Costi and Michael on mediums as well. Paul McLeod and Jack Wilson on softs with Tisvetten on mediums, Hines on mediums, and Itamar on mediums as well. However, he's in the pits. So as they come on to their 14th lap. That's a retirement for Marek, unfortunately. Ross in second, being just behind the race leader of Marcy. Nickel Foggy in P3. Jeffrey in P4. Thomas in P5. He's having a very good race. Peo in P6. Matteo P7, Thomas Erzen in P8, Martin Palm and Darren Adams rounding up your top 10. As that's Eric getting past Luca. The GTR is very quick in a straight line. However, the BMW Z4 is a very good all-rounder, so he will definitely gain in the corners. As this is currently your closest battle on track. If we have a quick look at the standings as of last race, Ross McFarlane still your championship leader, with Martin Palm just behind him in P2 with 179 points. As that's Hines off in the background, he's letting these two drivers get up in front. Michael Curves rounding up the top 3 with 175 points. As you see, Nickel Foggy in P9 with 127 points, drawing actually with Thomas Blackett in the top 10. If we have a look at the team standings, the Flying Dutchman Motorsport still the team standings leader, with NLR with Thrustmaster in second, and Apex Predator Racing not that far behind in P3. Black Widow Racing in P5, with DZ Racing being made up of Eric Rotterdink, who we're actually watching on screen now, and Paul McLeod are down in P6. As we come on to the battle between these two drivers, as it looks like Michael Curves is on the back of Tisvetten. He may have made another mistake as he is back down into P19. This has not been his race, this race. It's been very unfortunate for that bright yellow Ferrari. As we hop on board, he's braked very early, and Michael did not anticipate him braking that early and unfortunately causing a collision. Michael did lose more time, unfortunately, than Tisvetten. Will he look for a move up the inside? Tisvetten driving straight across into the side of Michael. So Michael is now passed into P18, and he's going to set his sights on Paul McLeod up in front. As we hop to Darren Adams in P10 behind Martin Palm. Still 2 seconds separating the two as they come on down into the final corner. Will Darren look for a dive? No, he stays behind. As they come on through the final corner onto the straight, as that's Martin Palm diving into the pits, one of the first drivers. And I believe that was Erwin jumping into the pits as well. We are halfway through the race roughly, as Marcy is still your race leader, being followed by Ross and Nickel, the two Scottish drivers, in P2 and 3rd, Jeffrey in 4th, Thomas in 5th, Peo in 6th, still not being able to get past Matteo and Thomas in P7 and 8 as Thomas closed up to the back of the Lamborghini. Darren in P9 and Eric in P10. As you see, Thomas is on the back of Matteo as they come on up the hill. 0.2 seconds separating the two as he looked for a move up the inside, however wasn't able to stick his nose in. 0.3 seconds, 0.2 seconds, he looks for a move up the inside, however not being able to get past. As it looks like Ross seems to be able to really catch up to the back, and then both of the drivers, all three drivers jump into the pits, the top 3 drivers. We'll have to see where they end up. Jeffrey staying out, Thomas staying out, Peo coming in. No, sorry, I believe that's Thomas coming into the pits, Peo staying out, Thomas Erzen staying out, Darren Adams opting to go into the pits, Eric Rotterdink coming through the final turn. Will he go into the pits? Yes, he does. Luca jumps into the pits as well. Hines deciding to stay out. As you see, Ross is able to jump Marcy. Very good pit stop by those McLaren boys. Very good job by them. That has allowed Ross to end up in front. All 3 drivers opting to go for the mediums. Peo now your race leader, however he hasn't pitted and it looks like he has sustained a bit of rear damage. Thomas Erzen in 2nd with 5 seconds behind Peo. Ross now your race leader after the pit stops. He's sitting up in front of Marcy with Nickel Foggy 0.7 seconds behind Marcy. So that's been a very good stop by both of the NLR McLaren boys. You see Nickel 0.4 seconds separating the two. They come on through the top of the hill down into the chicane. He's really fighting the car through the chicane. As he's lost a bit of time now to Marcy up in front. .6 seconds separating them now as they come through the long right-hander down into the chicane on turn 13 and 14. Down into the final turn. Nickel really using a lot more inside apex than Marcy did. 0.5 seconds separating to him as it looks like he's dived into the pits. I'm unsure why. Maybe he didn't get a change of tyres, or maybe he isn't running enough fuel. However, that is unfortunate for him. That has allowed the 2 Northern Lights Racing guys to get up in P1 and 2. We'll have to see whether Jeffrey is able to get out in front as well. Peo is still opting to stay out on the medium, so he is really going for a big overcut. As it looks like Matteo is able to get past Marcy, so he's up into P6 now. unfortunate for Marcy there. That has counted him out of the podium. As we come to the battle between the two. You see a really determined look on the face of this McLaren driver due to that mistake in the pit stop. As that Jeffrey passed, I believe that was Costy, as he's just come out of the pits. Michael in P16, he hasn't been having the best of races. Will Peo come into the pits this lap? Yes, he does, and it looks like he will end up just behind Nickel and Ross, assuming he gets the perfect pit stop. Marcy still on the back of Matteo. Marcy looking for a move round the outside. 0.1 second separating the two. Slots in behind for the chicane. Will he look for a dive up the inside into the final turn? No, he's not close enough to make a move. He won't be able to get him down the straight either, as the power of the Lamborghini will pull Matteo away from the McLaren. Marcy in P7 on the back of the Lamborghini in P6. So it looks like Peo ended out just behind Jeffrey, about 5 seconds separating the two, so that means his overcut has worked and has put him in front of a lot of drivers. Eric on the back of Darren Adams, 0.1 seconds separating them. Darren in the Z4, Eric in the Nissan GTR. As we come on back to Marcy and Matteo. Marcy looks for a move up the inside. Matteo making a slight mistake, dipping a couple of wheels onto the grass. Marcy not being able to capitalise. Matteo making that Lamborghini as wide as he possibly can. Marcy using all the exit. Will he look for a dive into the chicane? As it looks like Nickel has made a mistake, unfortunately. He's made a mistake into the chicane. He tries to get it going, but that has meant Marcy's up in front. So Nickel is now down into P7. And looks like he may even be overtaken by Thomas Erzen as well, which means he is down into P8 now. Unfortunate mistake by him. That has cost the 1-2 for the Northern Lights Racing guys. Marcy on the back of Matteo. Looks like he has got a slightly better run. However, the Lamborghini will be able to pull away. Very frustrating if you are in his seat. There's simply nothing you can do in a straight line. Ross, still your race leader in the McLaren. Sitting comfortably as we hop on board for a lap. Comes up into 4th gear, getting it nicely planted. About 12 laps left of the race. He's going to take it nice and slowly. Getting it nicely for the run up the hill. So using all the curb, he's going to look after his tyres, as that can be a key factor in whether you win or lose round here, as tyre wear is very high around this circuit. You can just see how much entrance curve he is taking into this long right-hander of turn 12. Comes nicely through the chicane. So very good top class driving here by the Scotsman. Gets it nice through there as he comes on down the run for this long 1 kilometre straight. Ross, your race leader, as he comes on to his 21st lap. Marcy in P6, still not being able to get past. Matteo up in front, Nickel in P8, 1.3 seconds separating him and Martin. Will he be able to close the gap over 12 laps? We'll have to wait and see. Martin Palm being chased down by Irwin. Darren Adams in P11 managing to gap a bit of a space to Eric. Luca in P13 opting for the double soft tyre stint as he comes through the final turn. Costi on the back of Jeffrey in the McLaren, Costi in the Z4. Both drivers are on the mediums. Michael Curves just up behind them as well. .4 seconds separating the two as they come on down into turn 1. You see the flames being shot out the back of that McLaren. Little bit of a twitch mid-corner. That's allowed Costi to close the gap. Costi very sideways through that left-hander. You see Marcy's back on the back of Matteo. 0.1 seconds separating the two. Will he look for a dive? Matteo going defensive. Makes Marcy go the long way round. As that looks like a driver off. I believe that's Thomas. They're going to go side by side through the chicane. Very cleanly done by Matteo. Looks like Thomas was squeezing Marcy out. And Thomas runs wide through that turn as well. So that allows both drivers up a position. That has allowed Matteo to gain a bit of breathing space, about 0.7 seconds separating the two. Ross still your race leader as he's on his 22nd lap. So it comes through the left and right hander. Nicely through as he comes down the run into the right left before the run up the hill. .21 laps Ross has done. He's only led since the pit stops on about lap 17. However, he is looking very comfortable. He won the race back at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps after having a brilliant pit strategy. Will he be able to make it another win here and extend his lead in the championship? Jeffrey in second. He's been racing very well this week. I believe he won at Silverstone the first round of the season. Will he be able to close the gap to Ross, who has been having an exceptional drive? As that's Itamar unfortunately retiring. He hasn't been feeling very comfortable in the McLaren compared to the Audi he's usually in. Irwin was looking for a move past Thomas, who has dropped down into P9 now. As we come back to Marcy, your previous race leaders before the pit stops, as he's up the inside. They are side by side through the final turn. Matteo managing to get out in front, and that means he will lead down into turn 1. Even with the slipstream, you can see he is still pulling away. Just the straight line speed of the McLaren, it is incredible. As you come on board with a GoPro shot of Matteo. You can see being very smooth with his inputs. Marcy getting slightly impatient, looking for a move past as he gets a little out of shake over the curb. Marcy still not being able to get past. However, looks like he may have the run. No, he dips a wheel. That has allowed Matteo to gain quite a sizable lead over Marcy. So we come to Irwin in P10. On the back of Thomas. As that's Nickel Foggy closing the gap to Thomas Erzin to about 0.2 seconds after his mistake in this next coming corner. As you see, about 2 seconds separating these two battles. So if Nickel gets past, he's going to have to drive like crazy in order to catch up and hope that those two carry on battling. And that's Michael, unfortunately, retiring from the race. He hasn't had a very lucky race this week. We come to Marcy on the back of Matteo, still not being close to make a move as we come on down into this 1.1 kilometre straight. Matteo out in front, he's going to hold it for yet another lap. Nickel Foggy on the back of Thomas Erzin, and Thomas on the back of Martin Palm as well. So three different two-people battle. As it looks like Nickel does look for a move up the inside. Both drivers braking as late as they can. Nickel up the inside, gets the move done nicely. However, he is slightly out of shape, and that has allowed Thomas to have a look at the move up the inside. However, doesn't get a very good run as we come to Marcy and Matteo. Those two drivers have spaced out a little bit. As you see Matteo out in front in that V10 Lamborghini Huracan. Thomas on the back of Martin Palm. Owen dropped off and has allowed Darren Adams to catch up to the back of Erwin in the blue Z4. Thomas on the back of the Z4 being driven by Martin Palm, currently sitting quite high up in the championship. As that's Marcy and Marcy off, and I believe that's either Paul McLeod or Eric off, and that has allowed Nickel to get up into the top 5. A big turn of events here at Mugello. Nickel in P5 now is going to look to chase down that Lamborghini up in front. He is on the soft tyre, so he will be facing tyre wear. As you see, Nickel lapping nearly a second faster that lap, as that's Marcy looking for a move round the outside of Martin. Martin going defensive into turn 1. Will Martin be able to hold on? They are side by side. Marcy being able to get the move done and takes that place nicely, so he is up into P6, which may cause a bit of troubles for Nickel Foggy. He was hoping that these two would battle. As it looks like those two are still battling in the background. Thomas Erzin 0.3 seconds behind Marcy. As we come to Thomas on the back of Martin Palm after his mistake through the final turn, I believe. 0.2 seconds separating the two as they come on through the right-hander up the hill. The second right-hander, a long and flowing right-hander. That corner can really catch you out because it really does tighten. As that's Luca now up into P12, passing Erwin. Owen may have made a mistake as he was just behind Darren Adams. No, I think he was in front of Darren Adams. So that's Luca up into P12 now. Jeff, as that's Erwin down the grid again. He's stopped on the racing line, it looked like. That is unfortunate for him. He is down into P15 now. Matteo driving a great race so far. He was your last race winner actually at Imola. So he's been having a very good week last week. As Nickel Foggy is closing the gap. He was actually over a second faster. It was about a second and 2/10 faster that last lap. So Nickel is really pushing that car. That may have even been one of the fastest laps of the race. As that's Erwin retiring. So we are now down to 18 drivers. Nickel in P5. Doesn't look like he'll be able to make it a podium, as he gets a really big twitch there, really fighting the car, somehow managing to hold it. Very good driving by the Scotsman. GC really fighting that rear end as he loses quite a lot of grip just by the dirty air being produced by the Lamborghini. As you see, Matteo deciding to go in deep and try and get the run out, whereas Nickel flows through the corner. 0.3 seconds, 0.2 seconds as they come through the chicane. Nickel not going to be able to make a move stick if he does look for a move through the chicane, through the final corner, sorry, as it looks like Matteo did get a twitch mid-corner. Nickel sticking his car up the inside. We will just be able to see the power of the Lamborghini. As you see, he's just able to pull away. Nickel slotting in the slipstream. He is very close to on the back of that Lamborghini. 0.1 seconds separating the two. Will Matteo go defensive? Yes, he does. Nickel looking for a move round the outside. Matteo up the inside. He has the optimal racing line. Nickel running slightly deep to try and get the run out. Is he able to do it? Yes, he does. They're side by side down into the first part, into the first chicane. Matteo still opting for the outside. Nickel going to be up the inside there. Still side by side. Great driving between the two. As it looks like Matteo will have the inside for this left-hander, and he is slightly in front. Nickel opting to go around the outside as Matteo runs slightly deep. And Nickel managing to make the move down. What great driving between the two. He will now be looking to chase down the driver up in front and hopefully let Matteo and Marcy battle behind again like they were before. 5 laps remaining in this race, and Nickel is back up into P4. Great driving by him. As you see, Marcy is now on the back of your previous race winner. They are side by side as they come on down into the chicane. Marcy deciding to back out as Matteo is in P5 now, still in the top 5, which he will be happy with that result. Marcy looked like he was nearly into the back of Matteo, managing to save it and not cause a collision between the two. Marcy 0.3 seconds separating him and Matteo up in front. Nickel managing to gain about a second gap to the black Lamborghini behind. 0.2 seconds now. 0.3 seconds they come down the straight. As it looked like Thomas may look, he's close enough to make a move if one of them makes a mistake, and that's very late braking by Marcy, nearly into the back of the Lamborghini. That could have been a huge collision between the two. As he's still 0.2 seconds behind as we come to Thomas Erzan back on the back of Martin Palm. Thomas on the back of Martin, 0.2 seconds separating them as they come down into the left and right. .3 seconds separating them. Thomas did look for a move up the inside, however he backs out as we come on back to the battle between Marcy and Matteo. Marcy looking for a move up the inside, decides to back out and stick in behind as they come through the chicane. He is caught up a lot through that right-hander at the top of the hill. However, he is never able to make a move into the chicane. He is stuck around the outside again through the turn 12. Matteo running slightly deep, as it looks like Marcy is able to get a cutback. What a move by Marcy there. He is now going to look to chase Nickel. Nickel 4 seconds. He has got 3 laps to close up the gap of about 4 seconds. Will he be able to do it? I highly doubt it. However, we will have to wait and see. Marcy now into the top 5 after his pit stop tragedy. As they are side by side now, Matteo not going to have the optimal racing line. However, it does not matter as he is up in front. You can just see the raw power of that Lamborghini. So he is back up into P5. So he will look to extend his elbows as wide as he can and make the back of that Lamborghini the whole width of the track to hold on to his top 5 finish. Thomas looking for a move past Martin, however isn't able to hold it around the outside. He looks for a move up the inside, nearly colliding with the back. How did he avoid that collision? However, has allowed Darren Adams to catch up to the back of Thomas. Darren making up the top 10. Will he be able to make it even a 9th position? 0.4 seconds separating the two. A second separating Thomas and Martin, and about a second separating Darren and Thomas, as that's Nickel Foggy on the back of Peo, and he makes the move done. Peo must have made a mistake, as that's a brilliant move. That puts Nickel back in the top positions, and about 9 seconds separating him and Jeffrey up in front, so that should be a 3rd position, assuming he doesn't lose it to Peo again. Marcy on the back of Matteo. Matteo going to hold on, however, as the power of the Lamborghini will hold him off. However, he seems to be close enough to in the slipstream where he's not losing a lot of time. Matteo going defensive. Marcy sticking it around the outside. Will he get the drive? Yes, he does there, side by side down into the chicane. Matteo going to have the inside for the second part. Will he be able to hold it? Yes, as Marcy runs slightly over the curb, which unsettled the car. As we come to Jeffrey and Luca through the final turn. Luca in P12, he's been sitting there for most of the race. 0.3 seconds separating them as we come back to the battle between Thomas and Martin. Thomas kept making mistakes as he caught up to the back of Martin, however they are both close together again. 0.2 seconds separating them. As we come back to Marcy, who's right on the back of the Lamborghini. However, the Lamborghini still holding on for dear life to his position. About 2 laps remaining. However, Marcy is looking for a move round the outside. Thomas Erzen just behind them as well. Marcy going to stick it round the outside. Will Matteo be able to hold on? It's a long way round there if he does get round. No, he doesn't. Matteo holds on as they come through the chicane. 0.1 seconds separating the two. Will Marcy look for a dive into the final turn, as that's a driver backwards. I'm unsure who that was. And that's contact. That's contact between the two. Marcy into the back of the Lamborghini. That's a huge collision. We'll have to see what the stewards will have to say about that. He does allow Matteo to get past. However, that means Thomas Erzen is now into the lead. So that means Thomas Erzen is into 5th place now, as Thomas Erzen is side by side with Martin Palm. Martin going to have the inside for the right-hander, as that's the driver going slow. Deciding to dive off the track. Wise idea to allow these drivers to race cleanly. Martin Palm still out in front, as that's Luca now unfortunately into P13. However, he is on the inside and he manages to hold it. This is a big 3-car battle. As you see, the McLaren being driven by Jeffrey and Costi in the Z4 behind Luca, as they come 3 abreast down into turn 1. Luca being forced on the grass, so he has lost 2 positions, and that's Costi into the back of Jeffrey. Big collision by Jeffrey, and Costi unfortunately going slow, and it's been turned by Luca. That is a huge collision by Jeffrey. We will have to get medical crews out to him, as that was a giant crash. Hopefully he is alright and he's able to walk after that, as Ross comes onto the final lap. Marcy still looking for a move around the outside. Matteo is able to hold on. Marcy slotting in behind. As there's still about 0.3 seconds separating the two. That was a huge collision between Jeffrey and the wall. Hopefully the driver is okay. Marcy's just behind Matteo as this is turning into a final lap battle. Marcy right on the back of that black Lamborghini. He will be stuck on the outside for the first turn. He slots in behind. 0.1 seconds separating the two. Marcy looks like he has got the run out of there. Slight bit of contact on the back, and that has caused Marcy to head into the wall. That is the end of that battle and will mean Marcy is into P7. Thomas still not being able to make a move past that white Z4. He has been driving a defensive drive superbly. 0.2 seconds separating them. As we come to Ross, he comes through the final turn, or comes up to the final turn. If he can get through cleanly, that means it is another race victory for the Flying Scotsman. Thomas Erzen on the back of Peo, and that is a victory for Ross. Very good drive by him. Hopefully we'll be able to grab a word with him later, as Peo is on the back Thomas Erzen is on the back of Peo. 0.1 seconds separating the two. Will he look for a dive into the final turn? 0.1 seconds separating. Yes, he does. He does look for a dive. However, Peo going defensive. Going very defensive, very slow on the inside. Thomas Erzen will look for a run out. And yes, he does. He is right on the back. They are side by side coming down into the line. It is a drag race to the line. This is very close between the two. Who will get it? And it looks like Thomas Erzen is out in front. What a finish by those two. Matteo ending up in P6 with Thomas Erzen in P7. Martin Palm managing to hold off Thomas Erzen in P9. Darren Adams in P10. Eric Rotterdink in P11. Luca managing to hold on after the collision between Costi and Jeffrey. So Luca is into P12. Costi P13. Paul McLeod in P14. Tess Vetten in P15. Hines in 16th. And Jack Wilson in 17th. So this has been round 7 at Mugello, and it has proved to be very close racing between quite a few drivers and strategy coming into play. Hopefully we'll be able to grab a word with Ross after this short advert break. So hopefully we are able to grab a word with Ross after that great race victory by him. He started in P2 and was able to get into the lead after the pit stops as he comes through the pit lane. Overall a pretty impressive race. And here he is now, your race winner at Mugello. Ross, how did you find the race?
Hello. That was a fairly odd race. First half of the race was, an intense fight, but I wouldn't really call it a fight. There wasn't an opportunity to make an overtake in that first stint with Marcy, myself, and Nickel. Pit stops came around. I think there was a strange technicality happened there. Came back out and just drove from there. It was a pretty first half intense, second half fairly relaxed.
Yeah, it looked like he made a slight error during his pit stop and he had to pit in again. In qualifying, you were sitting in pole with a fairly good lap time. I believe it was a high 1:46. And then Marcy was able to just top you towards the end. How did you feel after that?
Well, I was sitting there, putting my race setup together for the car, and all of a sudden looked up and I was in second. So that was a surprise. I didn't really see him in practice at all. So, well, congrats to him. Must have been a brilliant lap. But yeah, surprised.
Yeah, it looked like a very good lap by you. Overall, how do you feel the rest of the season is going to go? Obviously, with your 2 race victories, one at Spa and one at Mugello, both seem to be due to your pit strategies as well.
It's the rest of the season. There's a few different tracks. It's all about how the track drives and the temperatures on the day, depending on your strategies. So I will have to see how it pans out. Hopefully, I can pick up another win or two. Or if not win them all, but that would be really good. I'm looking forward to the last few races.
Right. Thank you and good luck for the rest of the races.
Thanks.
Bye. So hopefully we will be able to grab Nickel as well. He finished around P3 I believe, managing to jump Peo towards the end. And here he is now. Nickel, how did you find the race?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was glad I managed to keep up with Ross and the new guy, I think it's called Marcy. And they started pulling away. I think Marcy got a penalty.
Yeah, I'm unsure whether it was a penalty or whether he may have made a pit stop error.
I think it was an error, actually.
But I believe you started in the race after qualifying in P3, I believe.
I wasn't expecting a 1 minute 46, but I managed to get sort of a bit of consistency going just before the race got started, which was good.
Yeah, and it looked like mid-race you made a bit of a mistake through the chicane. How was you feeling after that?
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed because I'd gone from second down to 9th, and that never happened to me before. It was actually on a fast double right-hander up the hill, and I think the rear left just clipped the curb on the left, and just
spun you around.
Just yanked the rear out. Yeah, and then I spun again because the tyres were roasting hot.
Yeah.
So, but at least managed to get back those places though.
Yeah, you ended up towards P3.
Yeah.
What happened? I'm not sure whether you saw it, but what happened with Peo towards the end? Unfortunately, we missed it on the stream, but you suddenly ended up right next to him through the chicane.
Must have spun out on the downhill right-hander. You can lose a lot of grip. You can easily lose the rear end on that corner. So I reckon that's what happened to him, and then I just got past him.
And how will you see the rest of this season panning out?
I think it'll be okay. I mean, I'm a bit unsure with the car. I The rear end tends to slip out really easily, and I'm not entirely sure what to do with the setup. But we'll see. I'm starting to get used to it, actually, a bit more used to it this round. So yeah, I think it's just a bit more practice, and I think it should go.
Yeah, it looked like you was really fighting the car, but you seemed in control at the same time when you was pushing to gain some of those positions. Well, thank you for your time, and good luck in the rest of the season.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. So that wraps it up for round 7 at Mugello. We will join you next week for Monza. Goodbye.